knew, well, it was a footage that would eventually be released to the world. It was directly addressing his people, just so he passed his message home, and he did that effectively. So as far as we know, in Kaduna State today, the old and the new notes from the 200 to the 1,000 naira denominations are all running concurrently. And Rufai, some would say, hasn't erred. It's a question of him defying Mr. President, perhaps. And some have said, rather, he himself has come out several times to say, look, he has no problems with Mr. President. The president still has his respect, but he's only skeptic about those working with the president. He was one of those who leads the flare about the insinuations that President Buhari is not outrightly supporting the presidential ambition of Bola Ahmed Tinubu going into the 2023 presidential elections. He was also one of those who suggested that Gordon Emefiele could be a mole in the APC, working with some alleged fifth columnists to truncate the APC's chances at the polls. Hence, the initiation of the naira redesign policy that most of them feel is targeted at Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate. Well, the fact that the APC has been engulfed in a blame game amongst each other ever since this policy was birthed, it's quite interesting to Nigerians, as much as we've seen people from other parties equally complain about the poor implementation of the policy. For instance, the Tukuba Baka of the PDP is asking the APC to take responsibility for the failure to implement this policy properly. The likes of Peter Obi as well has equally spoken out. But the fierce debate that has gone on within the APC and their ranks since this policy was initiated has been very interesting for Nigerians to watch. So it's so interesting to see Governor Rufai saying the notes can continue running, and said if the APC gets into office, they would ensure that they dismantle the policy altogether. And he even said those of you who may have lost money in the course of trying to return the old notes, they would have every single naira paid back. That was his own words. I don't know if this is just politicking or trying to garner votes, because when I saw that footage, the first thing that came to my mind was the CBN governor's remarks that the old 1,000 naira and 500 naira notes that the CBN had mopped up in the last few days and weeks after Nigerians were told to return the notes had actually been burnt. So the other questions we've been asking is where and when did the CBN orchestrate the burning of these old notes? At what time frame did they actually start burning the old notes? If they had said there was a window still open for Nigerians to continue returning those notes, and if that is the case, did it also affect the 200 naira notes? Because I looked at the president's statement when he spoke yesterday, and he said he had ordered the CBN to allow further circulation of the old 200 naira notes. Now, it simply means that the order was given to Mr. Emefiele to return the 200 naira notes that had already been retrieved from Nigerians back into the economy. It doesn't mean that you're going to print new 200 naira notes, or rather reprint the old 200 naira notes in large numbers, because it only lasts for 60 days. So you can't reprint the old notes knowing that in 60 days time, they're going to be, the number going to be legal tenders again. So that simply means you're going to return the old 200 naira notes that had already been mopped up. So if the president took that decision in a space of 2 to 3 days, let's assume after the meeting he had with Governor Emefiele, now why are we being told that the 1,500 naira notes were burnt and the 200 naira notes were not? It's so funny. And this next question, a lot of persons were asking, why didn't we know about this particular information? And where did the CBN actually orchestrate the burning of those old notes? So he said there's a lot of suspicions, arising from the entire policy. And it has made nonsense of the long-term benefits that we thought this policy would have attracted to not just the financial system in the country, but the entirety of our economy. So Mr. Emefiele does have questions to answer, and I cannot fault or blame Governor Nasser El-Rufai in this case. We all know him to be a very controversial person. especially when it comes to issues of national importance. We all remember when he was the minister of the FCT. He went around bulldozing houses that did not comply with the FCT directives at that time. That was during the Obasanjo administration. So Rufai has always been someone who has called the bluff on issues that he felt were not going in a direction that he wanted. And in this case, he's premising his decision on the fact that there is a substantive Supreme Court ruling that has again reiterated that the old and the new naira notes should run concurrently. So we can't say Mr. Rufai is falling foul of the law, because the highest court in the country has said allow the old notes and the new notes to run side by side. And Kaduna State, through their governor, have decided that this should be the case. Other states may likely follow suit if they see what is happening in Kaduna, especially when they look at the hardship occasioned on Nigerians by this policy. A lot of persons would buy into what Mr. Rufai has said. So there's a whole lot of confusion around this. As much as he equally commended President Buhari, including the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Gbajabiamila, who said it was a right step in the right direction. But it didn't stop short of also saying that the Supreme Court had actually delivered a ruling on this, and he felt Mr. President would have complied totally with that directive. But that is not the case. So it's so worrying right now, especially when people in other states who are complaining about the lack of the cash see what is happening in Kaduna. Trust me, more and more protests are likely to happen in the next few days. And because as we're talking right now, the 200 naira notes have been approved, the old ones that is, but they're still massively scarce.
Well, that's the scenario Nigerians find themselves. I'd like to hear from you this morning via our Facebook page, Planet Radio 101.1 FM with you. And of course, via the phone line at 0902-223-1011 or 0817-624-8565 to join the conversation. You can also listen at www.planet101fm.ng. And yes, it's that time of the day where you get to represent your constituents. So let us know how you feel about the respective motions. And in case you just join us and you missed, we're talking about the Civil Human Rights Organization, CHRAN, has urged Nigerian police to be neutral during the 2023 general elections. We're also talking about Nigerians' reactions to President Muhammadu Buhari's speech on all notes, where he said that the 200 naira should continue to coexist for the next 60 days alongside the new 200 naira note, 500 and 1,000 naira banknotes. And as the House leader said, some bit of a puzzle how the CBN, who before now would always notify Nigerians of plans to burn, old notes, just like we saw the budget for the reprinting of the new notes, or the printing of the new notes surfacing. These government agencies are just like, sometimes we wake up in this country and get to see and hear things that makes our ears look like we're in a different planet, probably in alien land. I mean, in this country, we've woken up to snakes swallowing up money. We've woken up to monkeys invading. We've woken up to, reptiles taking over, state edifices. We've woken up to the maize disappearing from the legislature. I mean, what have we not seen in Nigeria? And this time around, CBN governor is telling us he actually burned the old naira notes without any approval, without any pre-notice. And if we look at the processes that these things has to pass through, oftentimes we've complained about bureaucracy within the government and administrative delays. So in a situation where in a span of just 3 days, how realistic is it within the confines of the workings of the government of Nigeria to actually have sent in the request or do the normal paperwork, get the budget released that would be needed, to destroy these banknotes? We were told, when the CBN began was about taking the printing, about to the extent of over something billion, trillions.
President Buhari said 2.1 trillion naira was recovered in this process. So I wonder how that much was burnt in a space of days. And I wouldn't fault him if he said it's true that this monies were burnt. But here is the fix. The decision to allow the 200 naira notes, the old ones, continue running up until the 10th of April was a decision Mr. President said he took after listening attentively to the different persons he had met in the build-up to yesterday's decision. He met with the the APC Governors Forum, rather. He met with the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Aminu Tambuwal, who, by the way, is a member of the People's Democratic Party. He met with the Council of State, and between Friday last week and yesterday, he had met with the CBN governor 3 times. So, how was 2.1 trillion naira recovered in that space of time burnt, so much so that the 200 naira notes were not affected? Because, again, I draw attention back to Mr. President's comments. He said he would allow recirculation of the old 200 naira notes. It simply means they're there in the custody of the CBN. Just bring them back. So, how did we know that the 200 naira notes would be spared to an extent that Mr. President would order its recirculation again, and the 1,500 naira notes were actually burned? Something is really fishy here.
So a lot is fishy, House Leader. Recall that just a few days ago, both the presidency and the CBN governor had told us they had not taken their stand. And shortly after that, Godwin Emefiele came out to tell Nigerians that, you know, the deadline of 10 still was very, very sacrosanct and there was no going back on it. And then just at that moment, the presidency came out to say they are yet to take a stand. So it was a bit of a puzzle. And we talked about the fact that the presidency is saying we and the CBN, we've not taken a stand. The CBN on the other side is saying the deadline remains. I mean, that was regardless of the Supreme Court injunction ordering the stay of action. So it's just a crisis that we keep seeing in Nigeria, and it's a growing concern that Nigerians really need to take the bull by the horns. Nigerians really need to rise up this time around and begin to, you know, elect leaders with credible, proven track records, because it all boils down to the issue of corruption, as Nigerians would say. It all boils down to having square, pegs in round holes. People are not suited or might not seem suited enough for the job they have been entrusted in. I mean, what will we see when we have the likes of Atiku Abubakar campaigning for delivering of wards and units at the expense of a federal government appointment or allocation or contract? I mean, it simply means that people who get this contract are not people who have a wherewithal when it comes to competence and professional proficiency. It also means that job in the government circle are given probably based on slots, probably based on who was able to mobilize his unit, who was able to deliver his word. And this is something, this politics of, settlement needs to really stop in Nigeria if we had to progress as a people.
Quite true. And we hope, of course, in the next few days, we'll keep on having clarification on the entire policy, especially since the Supreme Court is insisting that, look, we're sticking to our guts. There's no change in the directive we issued on February 8th that both notes can run side by side, regardless what Mr. President has actually done. So I think 22nd of February, the Supreme Court, I like to say, cannot afford to adjourn that case without a substantive hearing or a comment on the state of things at the moment. I will talk more on that, of course, after this recess.
Many thanks for staying tuned. Good morning and welcome to the news update at 9. I am Dara Udoma. President Muhammadu Buhari departs Abuja for AU Summit in Addis Ababa. Residents of Okana West 1 in a Senudum local government area celebrate commissioning of water project donated by PDP candidate for Senudum State constituency Prince Ukbong Akpabio. Stranded U resident recounts more gory details of experience following CBN's insistence on old naira note deadline. On the foreign scene, Russia expels Australian diplomat in tit-for-tat move. In sport, Barcelona and Manchester United draw at Camp Nou in intense Europa League playoff first leg. And that's the news update for this hour. I am Dara Udoma.
So welcome aboard, fly anywhere in the world. Catch every glimpse of the clear blue skies. Take a seat of comfort and soar on the wings of excellence. Fly Let's get you there. Get up-to-date information and insight on topics in and around the aviation industry and stand a chance to win exclusive gifts on this 30 minutes program every Thursday from 4 p.m. on Touchdown Thursday with Igbo Air here on Planet 101.1 FM Uyo. This program is proudly powered by Igbo Air, a new experience. Fly Igbo Air!
The People's Parliament is brought to you courtesy of JIA Outdoor Services. JIA Outdoor Services, a member of the Mbarakas Group, owns and manages billboards and advertising services in and outside Akwa Ibom State. Why not visit them today or call this number 0803-741-2340. JIA Outdoor Services, a member of the Mbarakas Group.
Amapiano and Afrobeats, they dine together. The two giants, Niger and Southie, don't show. Plenty drama, romance, cameras 247. Come see where Yawa the gas Yawa.
Make gonna catch all the excitement on Top Go TV Jolly, Max, and Super on Channel 29. Reconnect today on my Go TV app or dial *288#. Big Brother Titans now for people who don't reach or pass 18 years old. Our headline sponsors now Bamboo, Flutterwave, and Lotto Star.
You feel buy for no, you go pay later for the buy to go.
You fit to buy your phone today and you go pay later. iPhones today, both new ones and not don't use the ones. Samsung phones today, Tecno, Itel, Oppo, Infinix, Redmi, Nokia, and other latest phones and accessories, music box, laptop, liquid screen guard for to protect your phone from breakage. They repair phones so both software and hardware with the home delivery services within Uyo, Divine Ugo Communication for anything we concern phones and accessories. You myself rejoin to confirm Divine Ugo Communication. Them day for number 1 Ikote Bini Road, opposite Ibom Plaza, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, or make you call 080-680-93884 or 090-923-12971. Our shop they open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. from Monday go reach Saturday.
Anytime I see injection, fear they catch me. But this time, it did not stop me.
I've been nurse where they take care of sick people for hospital. Making up my mind was very simple. I asked my doctor for the right direction. She told me I couldn't make a better decision.
I did work out well, and I did chop better food. But that will no mean say, you know fit to you. Everyone looks up to me as the leader of my community. I took the COVID-19 vaccine with excitement.
I took the vaccine to protect myself and those who are around me. I must be alive to take care of my family. I have taken my 3 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine.
I did it for love. Protect yourself, family, friends, and community from COVID-19. Get vaccinated sharply.
Do it for love.
Do it for love.
Do it for love.
Welcome back. This is your boy Blaze, and I'm here with Mr. Jason, our social media expert, and he just told us why the COVID-19 vaccines have issues. Mr. Jason, is it possible to... Oh, sorry. Looks like we have a caller. Hello?
My name is Chloe.
Hi, Chloe.
My question is to your guest.
Please go ahead.
Where did you get all this information about the COVID-19 vaccine from?
Well, you know, as an influencer with over 500,000 followers, I have access to various blogs and pages.
Wait a minute. From blogs?
Of course.
Oga presenter, you said you shock, Abi. Mr. Jason, you be doctor. Are those blogs run by the NCDC, WHO, or MPHCDA?
But,
Stop sharing lies about the COVID-19 vaccines. You're putting lives in danger.
Authentic info on the COVID-19 vaccines can be got from the WHO, NCDC, and MPHCDA websites. So, protect yourself, family, friends, and community from COVID-19. Get vaccinated sharply.
Do it for love.
Do it for love.
Do it for love.
When you mikuri bumbume minya modwa ketangso 102.7 FM kururu tangikom iku itiaba iku iba itune itaita iku usoke adede iku itiaba iku iba itune itaita iku usoke tangso 102.7 FM ekene tang.
To Planet Radio 101.1 FM. A reminder, we are focusing keenly on reactions to President Muhammadu Buhari's nationwide broadcast yesterday, where he ordered the Central Bank of Nigeria to allow continuous circulation of the old 200 naira notes to run side by side with the new 200, 500 and 1,000 naira note. Reactions have trailed President Buhari's broadcast, as well as footages which emerged showing Governor Nasser Rufai of Kaduna State insisting that the people of the state should continue collecting the old note regardless of the denomination. And he has insisted that should Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the APC presidential candidate, be re-elected, he will change the entire policy again. So we'll be asking or getting your reactions on this later on. But other motions to the floor of the House this morning, CHRAN has urged the Nigerian police to be neutral during the election. And we're hoping to talk to Franklin Isong, who's the coordinator of CHRAN here in Akwa Ibom State. He will be joining us over the line in a very short while. Don't forget, you can be a part of the conversation by joining us in 0902 2231 Alternatively, you can reach us on 0817 6248565. Can also go to the Facebook page, Planet Radio 101.1 FM. We yield. Follow us for live feeds and equally leave us a message as well, which we'll take just before, or rather, in the course of the program. But don't forget to keep your calls, your comments, and your contributions as moderate as possible when you do join in. Let's entertain this reaction. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, feel free to call us back again if you can. Let's fall back on the discussions we had a short while ago. We're still focusing on the reactions to President Buhari's nationwide broadcast yesterday and the different reactions that have trailed his broadcast, with everyone now looking forward to February 22nd. And it looks like for the first time in a long while, the old adage that says the court is the last hope of the common man is gradually playing out, for the first time in a long while. But some persons have said the Supreme Court has not been, so direct with its ruling. While it has said allow the new and the old notes to run together, it seems like it's really not binding, so to say, on the presidency. Otherwise, why would President Buhari go ahead to say allow only the old 200 naira notes to run, disregarding the Supreme Court's ruling to allow the 500 and 1,000 naira notes to run equally? Anyway, we'll get your reactions later, but we now have Franklin Isong, who joins us live on the line this morning. Good morning to you. Welcome to the People's Parliament.
Good morning, the Leader of the Parliament. Good morning, the Speaker of the Parliament, and good morning, parliamentarians. Good to join you through phone.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm sure you enjoy your time out there at the golf course, but there are serious matters to discuss this morning. First up, let's start off by getting your reactions to President Buhari's nationwide broadcast yesterday. I wonder what you made of the president's comment when he said he would direct the CBN to allow the old 200 naira notes to continue running for the next 60 days, spanning February 10th to April 10, 2023, but insisted that the old 500 and 1,000 naira notes are no more legal tenders. It completely contradicts the Supreme